Hello, fellow fans, and we're back with another installment of our podcast. Today is myself, Augie, Matt, and our guest, Sean.
Hello.
Joining us via Skype. But don't worry, over the summer, he'll be with me, and then we're going to have to Skype Augie in.
Oh boy.
Hey, you'll be on Skype, right?
Of course.
So what's tonight's topic?
Gonna talk about some Marvel movies here, some of them superheroes, focused mostly on Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, starting with, of course, one that everybody knows, Iron Man.
Who wants to go first?
One of you guys can go first.
Well, I almost find it funny, like, we keep talking about, like, Marvel Phase 1 and, like, Iron Man is the start of it. But I almost get this feeling that, like, when they made Iron Man, they didn't, like, think we're going to make this massive thing. Like, it almost seems like the Avengers thing at the end, it's like, yeah, let's just throw it in there for, like, a quick nod. But then it was like, people were like, oh my god, what is this? And then they're like, okay, we got to go through with this. But, anyway, so, I mean, I'm sure we can just start with the fact that it's Robert fucking Downey Jr. completely owning this movie, resurrecting. God damn it! Turn this. I'm so distracted.
Sorry, for those of you who don't know, we're watching Hannibal on TV, and I had to turn it off.
But yeah, I mean, he resurrected not only his career, but it was the start of Marvel movie studios, and leading all the way up to all the movies we've had so far. And I mean, it just works. It's a movie that works really well, and it's very good, and then it's just elevated by the central performance at the heart of it. Go ahead. I know you want.
Actually, Sean, why don't you go?
Is that okay?
Yep.
Well, I generally agree with all of that Augie said. Like, again, Robert Downey Jr., he's amazing, and as Iron Man. I mean, who else could they cast?
Well, you know who they wanted, right?
No.
Yeah.
Originally, it was Tom Cruise, because they tried to make this movie for a good
So,
fit.
yes, crazy personal life, again, like Downey Jr.?
But they got a real actor.
Not an ego. They got an actor, not an ego. But, I mean, it's not only Downey. I mean, you're filling it out with all these other great actors like Gwyneth Paltrow, Jeff Bridges,
Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
Those are really the principal cast.
And of course, Stanley in one of his better cameos.
I think that's one of his best ones. So, Sean, were you surprised at how much you liked it?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. When I first saw it, that was before I was gotten too big into movie. Again, movie critic, to be more precise. But again, after I've seen the second one, which of course we'll be talking about later, I found myself liking the first one more and more.
I think we all, with the exception of the Avengers, I think this is the best.
Yeah.
Would you agree with
Definitely
that?
the best of the group. I'm sorry.
I would definitely agree to that. I think, even though it is the second best of Phase 1, it is in some. I mean, it is still like a good movie, but it feels like a good movie that has like, just a great main performance, because it feels like, I don't know, it feels almost, I'm not sure to put it, like, there's nothing wrong with it, it's like, aside from Robert Downey Jr., it's just very good.
Well, I think this will be my chance to jump in. Everyone talks about Spider-Man and, the X-Men, but Iron Man was a character that I didn't think a lot of people would be as accepting of as they are, because, you know, you could make that character very unlikable. You can make him almost a complete scumbag, and he is to a certain extent. But I think because Robert Downey Jr. had all that fan support when he got cast, they...
Oh, yeah. Beyond the name value, I didn't know jack shit about Iron Man before the movie came out. And I'm sure most people didn't know anything about Iron Man.
Except me and Mike. And I gotta say, I liked it a lot more than I thought it would, because it was directed by Jon Favreau, who hasn't made anything I've liked. To me, he's always come off to me as a good guy, but he didn't...
He's a workman.
Yeah, he's a workman. And then I saw this, I was like, wow.
He's also Vince Vaughn's buddy.
That's gotten him far. And I really like this movie. It was...
Vince Vaughn.
I think without... I'll start with... Besides Robert Downey Jr., I think everyone else, because I don't normally care for Gwyneth Paltrow, but I really like her in this. Because this is the only time I've seen her play a character that I've actually liked. We got Jeff Bridges, who's awesome in everything. Although I wasn't sold on him when they cast him. I mean, nothing against him. It was just that I couldn't see him as a super villain.
And then they shaved his head and gave him a beard and a stogie, and it was all set.
Yeah, it's funny when it has to be. It's serious when it has to be. Although my one issue with the movie, and it still bothers me, is that I felt like their director and cast were like, all right, because this is a comic book movie, we got to have that big fight scene at the end.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't work, because something about the dialogue and the way it's shot, I don't care for it.
And Iron Man versus another Iron Man. I thought add a little thing to the Gwyneth Paltrow. I think one of the things that makes the movie a little more special is their relationship, because in this one she's not, just the typical superhero girlfriend. She's there, but she's not, romantically attached to him. She's all business, but they have a good back and forth together.
Last minute thoughts, Sean?
No, I agree with what you said. Augie, what you said about Gwyneth Paltrow. Her and Downey Jr. have just really great they work off each other really well.
And then Samuel Jackson walks on screen and drops the mic in the movie.
I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers initiative. That's probably not a good Samuel L. Jackson.
And there was no mother effer.
And the moment he says Avengers, everyone's like, what?
Well, this one had that. I'm sorry. That was before I knew anything that they were going to have that. So it wasn't until after the second one when I finally saw the first end credit scene.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's kind of hard.
Again, you have to wait for the whole credits, and that's the one thing I'm not a fan of all these post-credit scenes. You have to wait for the whole credits.
I do have. Okay, that's the thing. Most of the other post credits, the other post credits are more like Easter eggs.
Yeah.
But it's not really that much the fault of this movie. It's more it's kind of like if you didn't see the end credit scene of this one, you would have no idea what the hell is going on in the next movie for a little bit. But that's neither here
It
nor
wasn't
there.
until the next one, Hulk. Actually, that kind of speaks what I just said about Iron Man, but it wasn't. But Hulk was the one when I first heard about the Avengers.
Yeah. Well, because the cameo wasn't at the end of the credits. It was right
It was
before,
right before the credits started.
No, right as the movie ended.
which is smart.
So, ratings for Iron Man?
Perfect 5 out of 5 for me.
Solid 3.5 out of 4.
I'm with 3.5 as well.
Oh, by the way, if anyone who's listening, I'm operating on a 5. Well, they operate on a 4-star system.
Yeah. So basically, take our ratings and add 1.
It's
Yeah.
I don't like. I used to be on the 5 thing, but I don't know. It just
I feel like 4 works better for me.
it's like there's sometimes where I just hate ratings so much. I just can't pick one, and for some reason 4 just makes it easier for me.
So, let's move on. The next film would be a relaunch of the Hulk series.
Only 1 month later.
It was 1 month later. I remember this was the summer, because you had Iron Man, this, Hellboy 2, Dark Knight, and of course,
Yep.
Dark Knight blew everything else out of the water.
Yeah.
So we got the relaunch of the Hulk franchise, and it was only, 5 years prior that Ang Lee's Hulk film came out?
Yeah.
But basically what happened was Avi Arad went to Marvel and he said that the Hulk was a money-making franchise, and he said we want to do a one that's more closer to the TV show.
Because people like saying Hulk smash.
And when this movie came out, I mean, it did pretty well. It made back its money, but it didn't receive the praise that Iron Man got. Sean, why don't you go first on this one?
Well, I guess we gotta start off with, of course, Ang Lee's Hulk, which did, of course, as far as I can tell from Rotten Tomatoes, you can get like totally bad reviews.
Actually, the RT scores on both movies are like right next to each other, pretty much. I mean, the new one is only barely higher than it, like only by like a couple points. And truth be told, I like the Ang Lee Hulk. I enjoy it, even though I do have.
I'll touch on it later. But so Sean, what do you think of this new Hulk? Have you seen Ang Lee's Hulk?
Yes, I did, and I'll tell you the one thing about Ang Lee's Hulk is I think it focused way too much on drama. And the newer Hulk, I think that felt more like I think a Hulk movie would be like more action.
And this is Action the movie.
Oh yeah, well, it's there. I mean, there is the whole thing about how Lederer and Norton wanted a slightly longer cut, but Marvel and Arad were scared because. No, the last Hulk movie had too much talking. We can't have too much talking. We need to cut this down to the action.
Well, because of that, then Norton said, nope, I'm not going for the Avengers, and then they just cast Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. Because he goes for the screenplay, and he got pissed because they refused to give him credit.
It feels a little weird that they haven't tried, Lederer and Norton haven't tried releasing a extended version. I mean, surely
the scenes are out there. It's just they're not in. The movie.
They've said their version is at like at least 15 to 20 minutes longer. So I don't know. I'm not. I mean, including an alternate opening where he
should have been there.
Which not only should have been there, but the Avengers actually references where he talks about trying to shoot himself and the Hulk spits it out, and then. It's actually kind of cool because if you like freeze frame it at the right moment, you see Captain America's shield in the ice there as he's trying to do it. But anyway, the actual movie itself, I only saw it once when it first came out, and as a pure blood action movie, it was pretty good. I thought. There's certainly the smashy in this movie. There's no shortage of things going boom and things being crunched 50 times over. Let's see.
Oh, you really want me to go?
Well,
okay. I think out of all the Marvel films, this is my least favorite. It's not bad. It's just. I'm one of the few people who really likes Ang Lee's Hulk. Yeah, I know it's pretentious at times, and they try to...
And also batshit insane.
They tried to make it too much of a film versus a movie. But when I sat down to watch... Because I actually just got done rewatching this before we recorded. And
with a Nick Nolte cherry on top of it.
I sat down to watch this, and I found myself wanting something. Like, I miss Sam Elliott. And I miss that relationship with him and Jennifer Connelly, which you get in this movie, but the problem is
Liv Tyler.
William Hurt's terrible, first of all. William Hurt is terrible in this movie. And Liv Tyler, she's not much of an actress, and her and Norton don't have much chemistry. You can tell on his face, he's like, really, do I have to work with her?
Yeah.
It's just, I still feel the Hulk is a very hard character to make a film out of, because... It's kind of hard because you're not going to be able to make a Hulk movie where he's not on the run. Because both Hulk movies have that, and even in the Avengers, he's partially in hiding. Edward Norton's good. He's my least favorite, though, of the three Hulk actors, through no fault of his own. No, I love... Mark Ruffalo is clearly the best.
No, I know.
But I think Eric Bana has a better sense of the character of Bruce Banner itself. Although it's David. It's Bruce Banner.
It's not David.
I'm thinking of the TV show.
You're thinking of the TV show.
And I swear to God, Tim Roth starts off with an American accent and gets more and more British as the movie goes on.
Quite fitting as he becomes more evil.
Nothing against Tim Roth, who I really like as an actor. His character is just very one-dimensional. It's not interesting. It's probably the weakest of all the Marvel villains.
Can't argue with that, really. Well, I can't argue that he's the least defined, although in terms of...
It's fun to watch, don't get me wrong.
Well, I'll go into weaker villains a little bit later. Although, the movie kind of sits on... It's a weird thing, because it's clearly a reboot. Like, you got different actors, and there's the... Actually, really clever, I thought, opening sequence, just quickly just going through the origin story, getting all the points done without, like, you know, laboriously going through them. But at the same time, it picks up right where the last one left off.
I consider this a sequel, not a reboot.
It really is a sequel. I mean, aside from that opening...
If you take that opening out, it's a sequel. It really is.
Because in the end of the Banner one, he's in South America, just like he is here, pretty much.
So, Son, what do you think of the Incredible Hulk?
Yeah, overall, I can agree. I see what you say. Like, I think both Norton and Roth were good in their roles. As for William Hurt and Liv Tyler, yeah, I agree. I think I prefer Jennifer Connelly and Sam Elliott from the Ang Lee Hulk. But overall, I think I liked it better than the first Hulk.
That's the general consensus.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I've actually seen I've seen this Hulk only once, and I've seen the Banner Hulk like 3 times maybe, and I don't know. Based on that one time,
I don't know what to think of Nick Nolte as a villain, but it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's just I felt like Tim Roth was missing something. I think it was partially the writing. They don't give him a lot.
Except for that one scene where he goes toe-to-toe with the Hulk, and it's awesome.
Well, the last 20 minutes of this movie makes up for the last 20 minutes of Ang Lee's Hulk, which just goes ape shit.
Harlem is gone. Like, poor New York. Like, usually it's Midtown or downtown that gets destroyed.
Manhattan.
This one, it's like, alright, we gotta move to Harlem. Harlem is the target.
And I like Tim Blake Nelson, his little role, which he becomes the leader, which is another famous Hulk villain. But unfortunately, now we're not going to see a sequel for a while.
That is one of the disappointing things. Not about the movie itself, but that they don't seem like they're going to be following up on that anytime soon. I mean, if they do in the future, that would be really cool. But I mean, I hope it's just not left dangling there.
Yeah, because that's a character. That's one of the key Hulk villains. And
what other Hulk villains besides
you got the Red Hulk, you got Flux, you got Madman, you got Absorbing Man, which was in Ang Lee's Hulk, but it was done in a half-assed way.
You're not building confidence in Hulk villains in me.
Well, what the hell are they gonna do? Like, Hulk is a character that works better in the Avengers when he's fighting other people.
Yeah, or fighting the Avengers.
Yeah.
Well, based on that one time I saw it, I'd say it's just a 3 out of 4.
2.5 for me.
I think I'm going to go with either a 3.5 out of 5 or a 4 out of 5. I'm probably leaning towards 4.
Yeah.
As a pure action movie, though, it does work. It's just, I feel like that cut that you were saying, I feel like there's stuff missing.
Mm-hmm. It's also, I've noticed, compared to Lederer's other movies, usually Lederer's other action movies are really I don't know,
they're all over the place.
Well, hold on. Clash of the Titans, first of all, horrible action.
Oh, God.
Transporter 2, the action is just plain stupid. But, I don't know, here, he seems to find the right, level.
Because he had Avi Arad over his back.
Well, and Edward Norton, too. And Edward Norton breathing down his neck. You're going to make the movies that I want.
Oh, speaking of which, I don't like the design of this Hulk. First of all, it looks...
Oh, no, I love the design.
It looks nothing like Edward Norton.
I don't care about that.
That's a key part of the Hulk. It's supposed to look like the actor playing him.
What I do care about is that this Hulk is fucking terrifying in this one. He is a veiny, roided out motherfucker that looks like he's about to tear me in half.
It's also I think it's the smallest of the 3 Hulks. Because in Ang Lee's Hulk, he's
Well, Ang Lee's Hulk, he looks like those doughy bodybuilders that think they have muscle, but they're really just puff. And then it's like, and then you go to this Hulk, and it's like he's the actual bodybuilder who like cuts right down to the muscle, and you see every single vein popping out of him.
So what's next? Iron Man 2?
Yeah, it's Iron Man 2.
Alright, Sean, why don't you go?
Okay, Iron Man 2. Well, obviously we know where we're going here. It's not as good as the first.
Which, ironically, superhero movies have a good track record of having sequels better than the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like X2, Dark Knight,
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2.
Bleed 2.
Yep.
Well, for most people. So what do you think of Iron Man 2?
Actually, how about you guys start off first?
This will get interesting.
Why don't I go first? Because I feel like my opinion is different than most people. I like it. I mean, I don't love it, don't get me wrong, but I can see... It's not like Spider-Man 3, where they're trying to like please everybody, and they end up pleasing nobody. There's really good stuff in here, and then there's some stuff that's not bad, it's just, it's not developed enough. Like, first of all, this does have Spider-Man 3 syndrome in the sense that the villains aren't as developed as they should be. Like, Mickey Rourke...
It has the Spider-Man 3 syndrome of introducing the one main villain that's apparently going to be throughout the whole movie, and then you take him out of the movie halfway through it to introduce another villain to come in.
I mean, Mickey Rourke looks like he still has that hair from The Wrestler.
And then just add in more highlights.
And Dayglow. His Dayglow whips.
Yeah.
He's good. It's just he's not... He starts off with a clear-cut plan, but it gets more and more convoluted as the film goes on. You got Sam Rockwell, who I love. Love me some Sam Rockwell. Mm-hmm. He's not given as much as he should be. Like this, he feels like a character that should... Like, he's basically Tony Stark if he was even more of a dick. And he was blonde.
I love this. I always crack up at the scene where he's talking to Rhodey with the weapons, and he goes through all these like big guns and like these giant launchers, and then he gets a little tiny rocket, and he's like, it's able to decimate cities and level entire suburban homes, and like punish people or something like that. It's like, I call it the wife or something. or something like that.
It doesn't even work at the end.
What was that?
The ex-wife, and it doesn't even work at the end.
Yeah, he shoots it and just goes dink.
It's interesting because they just released an alternate ending where Rhodey blows up Whiplash, apparently with the ex-wife, which I'm like, okay, that just defeats the purpose of the original ending.
Yeah, I saw that.
I haven't seen that.
Or I heard of that ending. Yeah.
I like how the whole thing where the poison in his body's gonna kill him, but then they drop it halfway through the movie.
Well, here's the thing. I think the first act is pretty good. I think the first act is just as good as the first movie, and I think, barring not quite developed story parts, I think the actual like battle at the end of the movie is also better than the one at the end of the first movie.
Yeah, it is, because there's context to it.
But the middle is a gigantic mess of a movie. I mean, you have a half-done Demon in a Bottle segment.
Not even.
It's barely even used. The whole poison thing going through his body, taken away like that, which also ties into the fact that of all the Phase 1 movies, this is the movie where S.H.I.E.L.D. is so awkwardly shoved in there. It's...
I gotta say, the Black Widow stuff totally doesn't work for me in this movie.
Not even her one fight scene.
Yeah, but that comes out of nowhere, and it's like, okay.
And it's only really there to give Jon Favreau a couple funny lines.
I don't hate her. I don't like her reasoning of how she couldn't do the accent. Bullshit. She's Russian. You do the accent.
Yeah.
Or have her say one word and have her fake the English accent throughout most of the movie. Have her say one line in Russian just to... I also don't care for Don Cheadle in this role. I don't think him and Downey Jr. have as much chemistry as Downey and Terrence Howard had. It just seems like they needed another... I'm sorry for saying this. They needed another black guy, so they just threw him in there.
Well, it was the Edward Norton syndrome where Terrence Howard was asking for more money and Marvel...
Those cheap bastards.
And Terrence Howard is also a little difficult to work with. So yeah, well, no, Marvel Studios is notoriously actually cheap for penny pinching. I mean, if you look at the salaries for all the actors in the Avengers, the only one that really made like huge bank is Downey, and that's because he made a thing where like he gets like a cut, but then he also his own like flat cut, and then he gets a cut of the grosses, whereas everyone else had a flat contract pretty much. So it's like they're all get a few million here, a few million there. Meanwhile, he's sitting on top of 50 million right now. I mean, it really comes down to the SHIELD stuff. It just
for me, the movie peaks at that race car scene.
Yeah, I think the race car scene and the scene in the prison, but the first scene in the prison between them is pretty great. But after that, like once Whiplash goes with Hammer, and Tony is off on his Nick Fury and Black Widow adventures, the movie just like sits there and like doesn't.
It's just plotting.
Yeah, it's just kind of sitting there and just waiting for something to happen. And I mean, you do get a John Slattery cameo.
And Gary Shandling.
Actually, Gary Shandling was one of my favorite things.
Speaking of which, do you notice Gary Shandling and Mickey Rourke are starting to look more and more alike as they get older?
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, are we sure that Gary Shandling isn't the real villain here? He just has that wig on. Yeah. Oh, and then even though the rest of the battle is great, once Whiplash comes back into the battle, it's like they just threw him in there for a 30-second fight, and then boop, done.
Dead.
Yeah, exactly.
So Sean.
No, anyway, Matt, what you were saying earlier about Black Widow, I was fine with her, but I think one of the things I have with it, because I think that they gave just a little bit too much screen time to Jackson as Fury. I don't know. I think like if they give his screen time, they could maybe give like more time for a Rourke's character to develop.
Yeah.
No, I think if they would have figured out a way to have SHIELD be more involved with the stuff with Hammer and Whiplash, it would have been fine. But because it's a Whiplash and Hammer movie, and then all of a sudden we're off on the SHIELD adventures, and then we go back to Whiplash and Hammer. It's like
it's a jarring change.
Yeah, it's like a 25-minute short movie shoved into another movie in the middle of it. What was the post-credits for this?
Oh, Thor's Hammer.
It was Thor's Hammer, that's right. That was pretty cool.
No, I like that because I was like, oh my god, we're getting a Thor movie. We're getting a Thor movie.
Yeah. Speaking of which.
Rating?
2.5.
I'll go up
because I still enjoy it.
I'll say I'm on the same. Although I like this more than the Incredible Hulk, just barely.
3.5 out of 5 for me.
Okay. So I think Thor was the biggest gamble of all.
Yes, it was.
Well, Avengers. Keep that in mind.
Well, but Avengers was going to make money, I think, no matter what, because Avengers was going to have Iron Man in it. Most people already know about Captain America. They already like Captain America.
Captain America, no one's favorite character.
and even though the Hulk movie didn't make incredible, God damn it, shit! I didn't do that on purpose.
Come to the dark side.
I swear, I didn't do that on purpose. Even though the Incredible Hulk didn't make great money, people still know and love the Hulk. But Thor, with that god who walks in the Rainbow Bridge
with the hammer,
and the hawk helmet, it's like that one I think was a bit of a bigger sell to people, and thankfully it pulled off well, and a lot of people saw it, which was great.
Sean, why don't you take this one? You haven't gone first yet.
Okay, so like Augie said, this is probably the biggest risk, but really got to hand it to Kenneth Branagh because, of course, he's been known for a lot of Shakespeare stuff. And I think he brought a lot of those ideas into Thor, like family, brothers, all that stuff.
Yeah. You get some these and thous.
And Thor is a Shakespearean comic.
Mm-hmm.
Although I feel like up to this point, Kenneth Branagh as a director got worse and worse as he went on. I mean, he directed Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Really that bad?
Oh yeah,
It's pretty hideous.
just think of this: Robert De Niro as the Frankenstein monster. That should tell you something.
Yeah.
Okay, so Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula's over the top. You take that, and you add, you double that.
You get Kenneth Branagh. Basically, he has no shirt on for almost that whole movie.
Oh yeah, no. The scene where he's creating the monster, he's parading around the whole scene, just like no shirt, just yes, look at me. Anyway, back to Thor. I mean, Branagh. Yeah, kudos to Branagh for pulling this together, but I mean, for me, it's all about the Hemsworth here.
Yes, him too.
I mean,
you have a man crush on.
I do.
No, he does because
I do.
Mike has a man crush on Chris Evans. He's had a man crush on Chris Hemsworth, and I got a man crush on Hugh Jackman. So
it's just. I mean, would you turn down Thor? For a guy who only really acted for 5 minutes in Star Trek, and well, I guess Cabin in the Woods also counts.
Was it Red Dawn filmed in 2008?
Yeah, both
Let's
Cabin.
not talk about that one, please.
Yeah, terrible movie by the way.
Both Cabin and Red Dawn were filmed before Thor, but obviously that they're releasing whatever. But I mean, it's not. He's not like Downey amazing, but for a guy to headline his first movie in such a big role, did a pretty great job. I mean, he was funny, he was noble, he was charismatic, he was vain,
Arrogant.
Yeah, it's an understatement. And kind of like the scene with the wife killer in Iron Man 2, the scene in the cafe with them, where he's drinking the coffee and he's like downing all the food. He drinks the coffee again, and was Natalie Portman's like, "Oh, you're really liking this, aren't you?" He's like, "Yes, this is good stuff. Another."
Yes.
I mean, and I think Loki is the best of all the Phase 1 villains, really. But you still with the Jeff Bridges?
Yeah, no, because, well, yes and no. I think Loki is a character that works better in the Avengers. Here...
But I think they do a great, because he's not just a villain from the start, and he has, like, a real, like... He has an actual, like, character behind him, and an actual, like a shift at, like, learning about his real heritage, and, like, obviously learning that this isn't really your brother, these aren't really your mother and father right here. So I think it's not exactly Doc Ock where you feel sorry for him, but there is a certain element of that makes him more than just...
My issue is that Loki, it's a character, he's the god of mischief, and you don't see much mischief out of him. They always talked about him being the god of mischief, but you don't see it. You see snippets of it.
The only real snippet of it, at least,
is when he goes to see Thor on Earth, telling him, "Dad disowned you," basically. That's about it.
And then there's also the
Actually, his dad died.
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's right.
The fight with the Frost Giants when he tricks the one into running over the cliff.
That's 2 seconds. I'm talking about
I
want to see like the jokester, the trickster, stuff like that. The character in the '60s show. I'm not going to do the voice. It sounded like Cobra Commander. It's just that was my big issue with the movie was Loki. I mean, the actor's fine. It's just I wish I saw a little bit more out of him. Wish he was a little more hands-on. I was kind of lukewarm on Thor in the sense that I was never a huge Thor fan to begin with. I never rushed out to get a Thor comic in my life. Like Hulk, he's a character for me that works better as a secondary character. And I feel like his transition from becoming arrogant god to being humble was a little quick. I feel like they did it just because they needed him ready for the Avengers.
It is. I mean, I think the movie does work. Although I do agree that it feels like maybe there could have been like maybe 5 more minutes there for that and for his relationship with.
Because he got a glimpse of that Earth ass.
It's like, well, see, it's funny because like I can totally understand why Natalie Portman would want to be him because I mean it's freaking Thor, like, you know, muscle bound, blonde haired. He's a god. Although, I mean, you can see why he likes her, but it does seem a little bit, they get into it pretty quickly, you know. And
I found the romance a little traditional. Like, to me, this movie, it's very traditional superhero.
I mean, I like Natalie Portman a lot in the movie. It's just the character.
I don't like, and I'm sorry, Kat Dennings annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah, she actually did, except for like a couple parts.
There was a couple parts, like when she tased him, I thought that was really funny.
But there are, most of the time, actually, I thought, usually I like her, but she was
and you got Stellan Skarsgård talking like this throughout most of the movie.
Yeah, but then until he gets to drunk Stellan Skarsgård, you know, and when she slurs his lines even more.
Fought, we drank, made it our ancestors proud, or something like that.
Yeah,
something. We drank, we fought, he made his ancestors proud.
Yeah, that was a great line.
And nice to see Anthony Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, he's playing Odin.
Well, forget nice to see Anthony. I've seen Anthony Hopkins in movies in the last decade. How about just seeing Renee Russo anywhere? Like
for 5 minutes of screen time.
I know, but it's like what's the last movie you remember her in? Thomas Crown Affair?
Outbreak. That was like 95.
Jesus.
I think I had one other. And being the nerd that I am, I noticed the Infinity Gauntlet in Odin's.
I was gonna point that
Odin's
out.
throne room.
I was just gonna point that out. It was like there's that one part where Loki like walks by and you're like, oh, I see those, I see it. I know there's a bunch of others in there.
Yeah, there's that. There's the there's a Nova's helmet. There's some other stuff. Nice to see Ray Stevenson getting some work too. Wish he would play the Punisher again, but that's not happening. So, Sean, thoughts on Thor?
Going back to what you said about one line goes, this drink, I like it. One thing I really liked about this film, there are a lot of like funny lines in it. Like when Selvig is rescuing Thor from the shield camp, and Coulson's like, well, how did he get out? Yeah. Selvig just goes, steroids. He's a bit of a business nut.
Yeah, and for a movie that's so, you know, it's about gods, it's about these, you know, mighty beings.
Gods, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's a very fun movie, which I wasn't expecting that out of it, but I did appreciate. What was I gonna say?
Idris Elba as the doorkeeper.
He's the doorman.
He's a badass, but I want him to see more.
Yeah,
want to see him fighting.
I'm sure we'll get more of him
in Game of Thrones. Thor. Game of Thrones.
Actually, that was something I wanted to bring up about this movie, Joe. I think my problem with it does kind of feel like they could have done more. I mean, they just go to Earth, Asgard, and Jotunheim. That's it.
It's better than Green Lantern when you see just Oa and Earth.
Oa for like 10 minutes,
oh, yeah.
and then
Earth for the rest.
Yeah.
That'll be another show. Actually, we could. No.
And I thought
these are good movies.
A lot of people thought Shield was also awkwardly put in here, but I thought they fit in well.
I thought they squeezed in Hawkeye fine.
I don't know about that cameo, to be honest with you.
Really? Because Hawkeye feels like he was just there like, hi, and then nothing. It's like they introduce him and you're like, oh, hey, it's Jeremy Renner. And then it's like,
it's that guy.
Where'd he go? Like, they could, I mean, if they had showed a guy in the background, like with a bow and arrow, that would be fine. But because they do, like, you know, specific close-ups on him and they give him lines, it feels...
It's like, nowhere near as bad as Scarlett Johansson in Green Lantern. I mean, oh god, Iron Man 2.
No, but in Iron Man 2, she has a size.
I know, but I'm saying I like how it wasn't beating you over the head.
Yeah.
For me, if he was wearing like the purple outfit and stuff like that, then I could understand where people were coming from.
Well, there were a lot of people I know who
upset by that,
who don't read comic books at all, and they're like, "Why the fuck is that guy having a bow and arrow?"
I turned to those people and said, "Shut up and watch the movie."
Just wait. There'll be that one movie you'll learn about. Solid 3.
I'm with a 3 as well. We gotta stop all this agreeing because you're giving the same rating for every damn movie.
And I think we're gonna be in agreement actually on the next 2.
Well, I think I give Thor like a 4 out of 5.
Very nice.
Alright, so next.
Captain America.
Back to something a little bit that could be more,
bringing a franchise back from the depths of hell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I want to start off by saying that the day before I saw First Avenger, I saw the horrendous 1990 film.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's a way to start.
It's so bad.
It's so terrible. I mean,
yeah.
I saw one. Actually, I somehow managed to see it on VHS when I was really young, and I didn't remember anything about it really. And then I saw it again, and I was like, "Oh Lord!"
I try to rewatch it every year or so.
Every year?
Really?
Because I keep telling myself I'm gonna finish it.
Wait, you still haven't finished it? It's like
not in one sitting.
It's only 90 minutes.
Not in one sitting. I couldn't do it. I'm like, I should watch Captain America. And every time I watch it, I get pissed off and
the Italian Red Skull, just
getting plastic surgery.
Captain America stealing a car twice.
Yeah.
Never wearing his costume. He's like an agent for most of the movie.
They just bring him in. It's like, oh yeah, he's Captain America.
Getting his red, white, and blue ass kicked for most of the movie. Takes the super soldier serum, gains absolutely no muscle whatsoever.
Yeah.
Heil Hitler!
It certainly paved the way for vast improvements with the First Avenger. And what makes the First Avenger work really well, and what I think is what makes a lot of the best superhero movies work well, is there's a certain, it's a superhero story grafted onto another type of genre. Like Dark Knight or the Batman movies are crime thrillers. Superman kind of has this nostalgic glow to it.
X-Men's more sci-fi.
Yeah, the Singer X-Men's have that futuristic, black
science
and
fiction,
sleek science fiction look. And
Thor's pure fantasy.
X-Men First Class is James Bond, and then for Captain America, I mean, what else can you do? You make it a war movie.
Yeah.
And you make it a war movie really in the John Wayne vein, pretty much, where it's just, black and white, heroes, rah, villains. Nazis, boo. And just have them go at each other. And put John Wayne in a red, white, and blue costume, pretty much.
I'll go. Directed by Joe Johnston, who actually made The Rocketeer, and I said this guy should do Captain America.
Perfect choice.
So when they said he was going to direct, I was like, yes. Then they cast Chris Evans, and I was like, oh God, no. Because
that's probably the biggest risk actor-wise for all these guys.
And Mark Ruffalo. Everyone's like, no. So they cast Chris Evans, and I rolled my eyes. I was like, okay, he's Johnny Storm. He's Johnny Storm, but he's not Captain America. Yeah. Then I saw the movie, and I was like, that's Captain America. Yeah. Because that's the kind of role you could sleepwalk through. I mean, he really doesn't.
It's the kind of all the Marvel heroes, he's the character who could have easily been just
the most one-dimensional,
boring. Really, I mean, he would have just been that bland, let's do good and kill the bad guys, fight the bullies, but.
And I gotta say, the special effects of pre-Super Soldier and post-Super Soldier is so amazing. Yeah. I thought it was that they just told him to turn into Christian Bale from The Machinist and then put it all back on.
Or the fighter.
Christian Bale would have done that.
Yeah, I know Christian Bale would have done it.
Actually, no, Machinist. Yeah, right.
Christian Bale would have been like, what, lose all my muscle? Nothing.
So, I gotta say I love the attention to period detail. This movie really does look like it was taken out of the 40s. You know, they get the visual look. They got a score that's very 40s-esque.
By Alan Silvestri.
Yeah, music, costuming wise, and
speaking of costumes, there's a great nod to the original Captain America costume.
Yeah, the first song and dance number.
That song and dance number.
And I was like, oh my god, they did this! They did this! They did this! I had like a checklist. I was like, okay. Well,
there's even one point where they're going through the original Stark Expo with Howard Stark, and you see the original Human Torch. Like, it's like an exhibit.
Yeah. I do have some issues with it, but they're very minor. Like, I feel like it's like Captain America serialized.
Which is quite a bit.
Which is what you should have done, but I kind of wish there was one, like, arc Captain America had to go through.
Because they were definitely going for that Raiders of the Lost arc.
Like, there was one, I feel like there was one arc Captain America should have had. Because the Avengers, he has one.
Yeah.
This one, not so much. It's just him fighting Nazis, which works for the most part. I mean, because you got Tommy Lee Jones, who's awesome.
I'm not kissing you.
You would worry that somebody like that would phone in a performance, and he doesn't. Toby Jones, who will be returning hopefully as Robotic Armanzola, fingers crossed.
So far as I know, he is.
No, they said he is actually.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they said he is in Winter Soldier. He's coming back.
Easy. He's a robot.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Do your history.
I'm also not that well versed on Captain America, aside from the fact that I know he punches Hitler on one cover and he fights Red Skull.
Speaking of Red Skull, Mr. Anderson.
I mean, you're gonna get a sneering, villain who's just gonna say his lines really sinister.
Get Hugo Weaving.
You're gonna get Hugo Weaving, of course.
I mean, all I could see, I was like, that's Red Skull. Mm-hmm. The makeup.
The makeup I thought was perfect.
No, the makeup's excellent. I was a little worried about the voice, because I was like, if he talks like Skeletor, I swear to God, I'm gonna...
Or Mr. Smith.
Can't think of her name, but I really like
Haley Atwell.
The love interest.
Yeah, Haley Atwell.
It's a very probably my favorite ensemble piece that's not the Avengers. Mm-hmm. I like everyone's cast. Dominic Cooper, Stanley Tucci. You got a lot of really good actors in this. So yeah,
it's also the dynamic between Evans and Atwell. It's even though it's certainly more romantically leaned than Stark and Pepper. It's still, it kind of has some of that like snappy back and forth with them that makes them a fun couple to watch. What was I gonna say? And once they give him the shield and he goes at it, especially in the last third of the movie, whew, that was some awesome.
It just keeps
scenes.
going and going.
Like he's just beating the guys with the shield, and then he's clock him in the head, and then he bounces off a tank and it hits the one guy and he grabs it in the air. And
when Captain America swings his mighty shield.
Damn it, that song does get stuck in my head.
I wish they used it in the movie. Because there was a whole scene where he's doing song and dance numbers. I'm like, you could have squeezed that in there.
Oh no, the best was the best was someone made a 30-second trailer.
Oh, I've seen that
with America, fuck yeah. It was the best trailer from the movie. I think any minor issues I might have had with it, which maybe mostly. There's some really ropey special effects in some parts, and I feel like the Bucky
character.
Yeah, I feel like when his
gets killed, quote unquote.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to think should I say he's dead because it's only 2 years, but yeah, I mean, it didn't really feel like the movie had much oomph when he died. But I think the movie makes up for that in the actual ending for the movie when he sacrifices himself and he goes on the radio, which I think does actually have a lot of
that works.
I mean, I was really shocked.
Very well.
I was like, oh my god, this is actually really hitting me right now.
About that phone call or something like that.
The last line.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
What does he say?
When he wakes up in New York City and he's running around, he's all confused, and then Nick Fury meets up with him, and Fury's like, what's wrong? I had a date. Ends. Great last line.
Sean, last minute thoughts?
Okay, going back to casting again. They had really good casting. I really like the relationship between Evans and Atwell. It's like that is like up there with like Tony and Pepper and Iron Man, because I think that does lead to how like you said, that ending is really actually does get a little emotional actually, and part of it is because of their relationship, and yeah, and then also Dominic Cooper, I give a lot of props to him because he must have seriously watched Robert Downey Jr. and he's like, okay, I'm gonna try to act like him to be Howard Stark, because no offense to John Slattery and Iron Man 2, but I think Dominic Cooper is a better Howard Stark.
Looks more like him.
I would agree with that too. He's certainly had that Stark charm to him, and and it's only a really small part, but Neil McDonough had some fun bits as Dum Dum Dugan.
Another famous comic book character.
The Howling Commandos, they were awesome too.
Oh yeah. I gotta say, my favorite action scene is that last fight with Red Skull. I thought that was awesome.
Oh yeah.
On the plane.
That was pretty awesome. Also, really stealthily and cleverly hints that Red Skull might not actually be dead.
Yeah, Hugo Weaving ain't coming back though. There's one man who they could cast though, and he goes by the name of the Jew Hunter.
No.
Sorry, Christoph Waltz could play Red Skull.
Wow. That would be interesting. I'd do that.
That would be.
Because he only has a German actor working. So I go 3.5 out of 4.
We're agreeing.
Are you serious?
I know. This is the most bizarre.
I feel like we're gonna have to throw in another movie just. To...
No, I know. I was like, are we sure we're not missing anything? And it's like really the only thing we had any minor discrepancies on was Hulk and Iron Man 2, and that was
Avengers, the 2.5 hour geek fest. I saw this with Sean actually, and we had a blast.
Avengers? Yeah.
I saw it with my friend Carlos in the Pax Providence Theater, and it was pretty awesome getting all those audience reactions in there with the movie.
Where do we I don't feel like we have to go too long on this because we actually did a separate review of the Avengers when it came out.
And every single person on Earth has seen the Avengers.
Just 1 second. I think we forgot to mention, Augie, you forgot to say your score for Captain America. Did you say it?
It's the same as his.
Oh, I give it like a 5 out of 5. I think that's my personal favorite of the whole pre-Avenger movies.
Mm-hmm. It's weird because usually we're severely disagreeing.
Yeah, really if anybody's been listening, we're not used to all this subtlety and
agreement.
Well, we are doing the X-Men movies next, so
okay.
I think I don't think I can join you there because unlike you guys, I have to wake up early for high school, so
you don't got too much longer.
Yeah, again, just finish off with the Avengers and then
all right, sounds good.
You guys can go off from there.
You're high school kids.
Hey, I'll be there next year. So.
Yeah, I know.
Avengers. Wow. Was not disappointing in the least. The guy gave me everything I wanted. The guy action. I got to see Hulk beat the hell out of it. I got to see Hulk fight Thor. I got to see Iron Man fight Captain America. I got to see.
Okay. Sure. It's about the team. You got Iron Man in here. This is the true Hulk movie right here. This is the Hulk that we wanted. We've been wanting for 2 previous movies, and now we really got it down. I mean, Mark Ruffalo was just great. He had, he portrayed the inner struggle that Banner was going through. He also had, courtesy of Joss Whedon, many funny moments. The Hulk himself has the best moments in the movie. I mean, my top 2 favorite moments in the movie are Hulk moments. First, when he sucker punches Thor after they take down. After the awesome single take. I mean, it's not really single take, but after
it's pretty close though.
But after the long shot of all of them fighting throughout the city, and then they take down the giant flying worm, and then and then
out of nowhere,
scene of the whole movie.
And then,
of course, the other one.
And then the best when
really, because I thought go ahead with what you're gonna say.
I would say so because it's like, Loki's just Loki's that petulant brat. Like because I mean in Thor he has a little more dimension, but here like he's a full on villain. Like he wants.
That's what I wanted in Thor.
He's out to get them. Like he's pissed, he's angry, and then the Hulk smashes in through the window. And he's like, "Shut up! I am a god. I will defeat you. I will die." And then boom, and it's a moment that God. You'd never see in your average superhero movie, but it's something that like when you think about it, it's like the Hulk wouldn't just sit around letting him talk. The Hulk would pick him up and throw him across the room. And sure enough, he does.
I gotta say, I found the first one funnier because that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And the second one, I kind of knew that was going to happen.
I like it so much.
I just thought the sucker punch that came out of totally nowhere.
Well, it's to make up for the fact that Hulk Thor kind of beat his ass earlier in the movie. Like there's that one awesome little slow motion part where they're
grabs
fighting.
the hammer and he
it's like they're fighting like fist to fist, and then Thor grabs his hammer and just uppercuts him right in the face. You're just like, ooh. Should we have expected less from Joss Whedon, though? I mean...
God of the nerds.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
I mean, you have Avengers, where you have all these Marvel superheroes together, and then you add Joss Whedon, who's writing and directing it, and suddenly...
I think all the credit goes to him. And I was so excited after this, then I saw Cabin in the Woods, and I was totally let down by that piece of crap.
Damn it. It's just the way he's able to juggle all these characters and give them
enough to do. Like Iron Man, I was worried he was going to overpower the movie, but he doesn't.
I mean, sure, Hawkeye doesn't really get... Well, I think what they cleverly do is, because Hawkeye doesn't have much interesting background, to go through or anything, or, a backstory, they cleverly introduce him, and then they use him as a pawn of Loki for most of the movie until they bring him back for the final battle. And I thought they did a really good job of giving even the Black Widow a little bit more of a character in this one. I mean,
I like her a lot more than this. For one thing, they fixed her hair.
Yeah, I was just about to say, for one thing, the hair is much better.
I think it's better than they've been showing for Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I don't know. If you guys seen it, it's a bit too long.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, the hair in Winter Soldier.
Well, phase 2 there.
It looks a little
Everyone's
odd.
growing their hair up.
Everyone.
But there's one of my favorite non-Hulk scenes in the movie is when it's just her and Loki in the cell, and he brings up...
Hello, Clarice.
And there's that... it's perfect.
That's all I could keep thinking of.
There's she's talking about how she has a darker past where she wasn't really she was kind of a bad person earlier in her life before Hawkeye picked her up, and she says something about her ledger is has a lot of blood through it, and there's a part when Loki tries to pretty much break her when he's like, "Oh, your ledger is dripping with blood," and it's just so awesome.
Maniacal laugh.
I mean, Mark Ruffalo is certainly the standout because he made the best Hulk we've had. I think Downey would be the obvious choice, but I gotta say, I think Tom Hiddleston walks away with this one right here, even amongst Samuel Jackson, Robert Downey Jr., and all the others. I think this one is really Hiddleston's movie to shine.
Yeah. And I got But I was the only person in the theater who actually knew that Thanos was at the end of the credits.
Oh no,
No, I know.
for
No one even knew that there was a scene at the actual end of the credits where they're all sitting in that shawarma restaurant. No one knew.
no, I know. I was the only one of my friends that knew, and I was like, "Wait, guys, sit down. There's another one." They're like, "There's another one?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I think that's what threw people off.
And like, and then
Thanos.
we waited to the end, and it was just them eating shawarma. Well, for about 5 minutes, because of the ending of Captain America, I actually thought it was Red Skull.
I was sitting there going, wait, why is there a Skrull at the end of this movie?
Well,
Wait, I thought a Skrull, that's Thanos.
well, it's kind of in tight close up, and it's like, red skin, and it was kind of hard to tell.
It was blue skin.
The lighting makes it kind of look reddish, though. It was hard to tell.
It's purplish.
I'm just happy it wasn't Galactus.
Well, no, if it was Galactus, he would have had a close-up of smoke with eyes.
No. That's
Everyone's saying that other movie.
What other movie? There is no other Fantastic Four movie.
You know what I'm talking about.
Doesn't exist.
Where he's supposedly in it.
Oh, I hate that. I
it's
hate
like-
that argument. I hate that argument.
What?
They say
I think
Galactus
it's
is
like,
in the
Dr.
cloud.
Evil,
Oh my
finger
god.
quotes.
What? He's in the cloud? What?
Well, let's get back to Avengers.
I don't know what else to say.
Aside
Yeah, you know
from,
what?
aside
Me
from
neither.
the fact that it's pretty much a 2.5 hour long nerdgasm, basically.
Well, actually, the opening is a bit slow, but then, of course, by the time it's the end, it's just amazing.
I mean,
I never found it slow. I mean, yeah, it could have been tightened up a bit, but I was interested with what I was seeing.
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I do think the opening action scene is the weakest part of the movie. I mean, but I was never like, I wasn't like thrown off by like, oh, like, we're not off to a great start here. It was just kind of like, okay, they're getting it started, just kind of set it up. The one thing I do, if there's any at all complaints I do have, and it's really just a film nerd nitpick on my part.
This is a nitpick.
It's that the movie just kind of looks visually plain. It feels like it needed a little more pop in like.
Maybe if they went to Asgard for a couple
either-
seconds.
There's something about the cinematography that just. I'm not sure how to describe it. It doesn't like jump out at me. Like when I look at Captain America, especially, and like Captain America is like that's like a great. I mean, obviously Avengers is much better than Captain America, but when I look at Captain America just from a visual standpoint, it's got a great visual and color palette that really like stands out, and it has a real like style to it, and Thor has that too. But when I look at Avengers, it just didn't really give me the same. Like, I mean, obviously stories and characters much better than visuals. It's just a nitpick in me.
4 out of 4. It gave me everything I wanted, and everyone who criticizes the movie needs to shut up. Not everything has to be Chris Nolan's Batman.
Of course. I mean,
Not everything has to be exposition
no
of the movie.
Sorry.
I mean, the fact that a movie the movie was just able to be just pure, just absolute fun.
This is what Transformers should.
And be this good, because I would almost argue that making a pure, like, a 10 out of, or a 4 out of 4, like, fun movie is harder than making a 4 out of 4 dramatic movie, because when you have a dramatic movie, you have those big, like, emotional beats that hook you in, and, like, maybe give you some man tears, but to make a movie that's almost perfect as just pure fantasy and entertainment, that's quite an accomplishment. I mean, there aren't that many in the last decade or so that I can think of that are better than this.
Probably the last movie that was pure entertainment that I saw actually was a comic book movie. That was probably X2. This is a pure action movie.
You're missing Spider-Man.
Well,
Yeah.
because there's more depth to that.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
So everyone 4-4-5-5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 out of 4.
Yeah, 5 out of 4.
10 out of 4?
Yeah.
10 out of 5? That's what I meant. Say 10 out of 5.
So I would go Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Iron Man 2, Hulk.
I'm pretty much.
I'll go Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2.
I'm exactly where Sean is.
Okay.
See, we have slight disagreements. There's slight disagreement.
It's okay. We're not there yet. We're not at the point where we're exactly lined up. That'll be the day where the universe explodes.
So we gotta thank Sean for coming on board for this. We'll keep in touch. We'll bring him on board for another one eventually. Even though we did a commentary, he's a Potter guy, so I think we'll do a full Potter retrospective eventually.
Okay.
Well, I'm also big on these superhero films too. I mean, well, this is embarrassing. I'm not a comic book reader. Again, you can bash me all about that.
It's just me. Don't worry, he doesn't read comics either.
Augie? No.
I actually.
Thank you, Augie.
It's funny. I got about 10 graphic novels for Christmas.
Those are different.
And I haven't. It's a comic.
But it's a book.
It's a comic. I have about 10 graphic novels at home, and I haven't touched any of them yet. They're just sitting there waiting for me.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay, just mind I just had a little closing notes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Again, pump for Iron Man 3. Earlier today I saw Rotten Tomatoes. It's changed now, but for the first 9 reviews, all positive, 100%. And then of course today they showed the Thor 2 trailer, which again can't wait for that too. And yeah, that's about it.
Oh, there is one thing about Iron Man 3 I want to touch on a little bit, because there seems to be some buzz and hoopla about a twist that happens in Iron Man 3, and some people are loving it and some people are really hating it.
Spoiler, what is it?
I don't know what it is. I don't want to know what it is, but it seems to be a twist that's dividing.
Alright, so there's there's something that's in there already.
There's something that's at the involving one of the characters that some people think works great and other people just are not going with it at all. So
I think I know what it is.
Is it a new character?
No.
What? New character?
What, you mean new character in Iron Man 3?
Yeah.
A new character?
Yeah, it does.
No, that's not what I was thinking actually.
I thought he was going to run into the Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, not like.
Yeah, that's what you're gonna do.
Not like a character they introduce out of nowhere. It has to do with one of the new characters they establish at the beginning, in the story of Iron Man 3. Pretty much. I mean, I'm trying to avoid. I try to avoid it as much as possible. I came really close to almost having it spoiled.
Because Avengers, I came this close, and I was like, nope.
Because I heard about it in first heard about it in a message board. I was like, I gotta leave here. They're gonna spoil it at some point, because message boards have spoiled me many times.
The internet is very spoilers.
Yeah.
I remember Dark Knight Rises. There was a spoiler every day.
Skyfall, they had the plot online a week before we got it.
Well, it's funny because.
You know what's worse?
What?
I because you could say partially because of my own stupidity, I knew that M was gonna die. Ray Fiennes was going to take over as M.
I called that before the movie came out.
You know what's funny?
Naomi Harris was money paying.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, we actually predicted all 3 of those before the movie even came out. So that wasn't even much of a surprise.
Well, I went in knowing that too, so.
Yeah. So it was like.
I also feel like since Alex isn't as much of a Bond fan as Sean is, we'll have to redo the Bond show.
Yeah. If you're doing that, I am.
Certainly.
You better invite me for that.
I just got to get done rewatching them again before I...
Yeah, I probably would rewatch. Some of them are on Netflix. So, the Roger Moore ones, I don't know, they kind of look a little shoddy.
Well, I have them on the special edition DVDs. They look fantastic.
Yeah.
Although there's a certain one I don't plan on revisiting.
Sean, you're a big GoldenEye person, aren't you?
Of course. I love GoldenEye. It was the first one I ever saw.
Yes. Okay.
Is it your favorite though? Period.
Favorite of Brosnan's films. I think
he's gonna hate what I have to say.
My favorite's of Brosnan's.
Are you sure you want to put this out there?
For those of you who don't know, GoldenEye is my 3rd favorite Brosnan film.
Oh boy.
Yes, I like Die Another Day more than I like
Now we're
GoldenEye.
disagreeing on something.
But Die Another Day is not my favorite though. It's still Tomorrow Never Dies.
Before we digress back into Bond, like we seem to usually do.
All right, thanks, Sean.
Okay, bye-bye.
I gotta get Kevin on now.
Wait.
Kevin wants to do the X-Men show.
Oh, okay.
Because he's on my side.
For what?
In terms of comics.
In regards to which thing, though?
Actually, no, you know about X-Men because you watched the TV show.
Yeah. Well, like which thing in regard to the comic?
Comics, yeah, you know.
I was gonna say, because most superhero shows,
Sardinia?
the X-Men cartoon is pretty much like dead on, like
That's
the.
the...
It's almost page for page.
Is it page for page?
Well, not page for page, but it's pretty
Hello?
close.
Hold on, the video's coming in. There you are.
Yeah.
Get him on phase. Alright, so I asked Kevin on because we're doing X-Men. So I was thinking, just because Kevin, Augie and I just rewatched X3, and I think we have a lot. No, wait till we get to Wolverine, then the claws come out.
Oh dear. Ha. Ha ha.
That was not intentional.
Uh-huh.
That was not intentional.
Right.
Alright.